And our next candidate this evening is Mrs. Eileen McDonell. And Mrs. McDonell, if you'd like to pour yourself a drink before we get started, feel free to do so.
Make sure it's water.
Or drink.
Water, it says water. Okay, thank you. And just to let you know, we'll go around the table. Each one of us will take a turn to ask you a question. And I believe starting off with you this evening is Mrs. May.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, good morning. Hi, how are you? Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to put your application in and be here. We appreciate it. First thing I want to start out with is decision-making. As you know, as you're, I'm sure, fully aware, that we make some tough decisions. And, you know, we're never going to make everybody happy. And I'm just wondering what process or what steps you'll go through when you're coming to determine what those decisions will be.
Well, I think as a school board member, I think the most important thing to take into consideration is the impact of what it's going to have on the students in the community at hand. And then break down the process further on what the impact on the employees, because I believe budgets going forward over the next, for sure over the next few months are going to be tough to take on. And try to be as fair in the decision-making process as possible. So it's gonna, decisions will hurt sometimes, but sometimes decisions are good also. So I think that's the best thing to do is try to make it as fair and equal as possible with as little impact on our students.
Thank you.
Mr. Freeman.
Excuse me, all these questions, I want to make sure that I make notes of them for when the final decision is made. Your application said that I'm not afraid to ask hard questions and expect clear and precise answers. At this level, the kind of decisions that we make, the hardest questions have no simple answers. Okay? How will you adapt? How will you adapt?
Well, I think I've always been a pretty fair person when it comes to, because as you all know, I've been addressing the board on concerns that I sometimes have for our children and our students. And, I always felt that I've always been a very fair person when it comes to looking at things. And I sometimes don't always like decisions that come down or the actions that come through. However, I've learned to adapt and move on and still try to be here as an active member of this community to ensure that, I try to come forward and do the best that I can for my daughter, because she's a very much important person that I really try to fight for, and for our students in our community. I don't think I'm one to hold grudges. I know I'm not one to hold grudges. I can be very open, and I can also interact and talk with people very fairly.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question okay. Is there anything else you want me to expand on?
I only get one question.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay, not a problem.
As a board member, we're called on to make some tough decisions for the good of the district. Would you be able to put aside personal opinions and ideas so that you can consider to make a decision what is in the best interest of the district?
I know I can. I know it's a matter of having all the information at hand in order to make a decision. A lot of times as being a member of the community and somebody on this side of the table, I don't have all the information a lot of times. I think it's something that hard decisions are gonna have to be made over, like I said before, over the next few months, and hope that I could do it. I know I could do it in a fair manner across the board. And it would be tough. There's no doubt about that.
They are tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mrs. Burton?
Thank you. First, thank you for putting your application in and volunteering to serve the community in this manner.
You're welcome.
You cite in your application the need to review and analyze the budget. In addition to our administrators, those of us on the board and our auditors, you're one of the citizens in the community who does this regularly. What area or areas do you believe have not yet been reviewed and analyzed?
Well, I don't have the chart of accounts in front of me right now, but, I mean, just in simple terms, another mom that I ran into at a local store, she's in the waste hauling business right now, and she was talking to me in a house she came and approached, I don't even know who it was, in the district about the waste contract. So I asked her to, I told her, I go, well, I'll help you out, I'll just FOIA for the information, get a copy of the contract, and so I reviewed it, I looked at it, and the contract, I think the purchase order was like for $105,000. Last year, I think it was like a $90,000 or $99,000 expense, but the budget was for $140,000, which in simple terms, that's not a large amount of money, but when you're looking at cutting, you know, $30,000 or $35,000 variance out of the budget, and you're gonna impact someone's employment, then yes, to me, that's a big difference. Especially when you're looking at, you know, in a purchase order that's, you know, written for X amount of dollars. And to me, I think that's what the budget should be for. So that's just in simple terms.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Oak?
Okay, can you, or for that matter, should you support a decision of the board that you were not in favor of, and then just explain why?
If I may again, please, if you don't mind.
Can or should you support a decision of the board that you were not in favor of, and then why not?
If I wasn't in favor of it, no, I would not support it. I mean, I think everyone is an individual, even though they're part of a board and part of a team. I think it's up to that individual board member to make a decision based on the information at hand and to go with their gut feeling. But go with that gut feeling also with data and information to back up that decision. So, no, I'm not always going to be in agreement with everybody, if that's what you're asking me, no. However, I would never be disrespectful of anybody in forming an opinion or expressing myself. You're welcome.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Thank you for your application being here tonight, Ms. McDonald. Very simple question. Why do you want to be on the board?
Well, I've been very active over the last 4 years in continuing interest in an advocate for the students and the community at large, and basically for my daughter. I mean, not to say that I'm not gonna single her out as my main reason, but she's very important to me. Her education's very important to me, and I just think it's the right thing for me to do. I've never given up. I've always sometimes get frustrated, but I've never given up. And I've always felt that it was something that I've always wanted to do and will continue to do, even regardless of what happens this evening. I will not stop coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McDonald, we're done with our formal questions this evening, but if you'd like to take 2 minutes and let us know anything about yourself or something that you'd like to tell us that possibly didn't get answered in any of the questions about yourself for this evening.
Well, I would really love the opportunity to be a board member and represent our community and our students. I know I would do a good job, and I know I do a fair job. And I really think all my work experiences and my community involvement would be a bonus for the school district and for our children and for the board. And I really think I have a lot to offer.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you for your application.
No
And
problem.
what Mrs. McDonald handed in to me ahead of time was a letter from her employer, giving her a letter of recommendation for the position, just so the rest of the board members.
Yeah, just in case anyone had any concerns, because my employer is very, very, they're very in tune to encouraging their employees to be members of their community and to promote volunteerism. And it's very important to them, because they feel if our employees, it's, what's good for the community is good for our company. And the time is not going to be an issue.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Feel free to have a seat in the audience.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.